I'm here with Luann Abrams, CEO of CEOX, and this is all about what she's going to share with us today, helping early stage companies, also what her services are. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you first, Luann, is in your own words, why did you start CEOX? What did you see was not working properly?
Oh, yeah, there's, as you know, a lot of things in venture that is broken. But the thing that I kept seeing as being an investor, an LP in venture, is that I started to notice that it was not uncommon for founding CEOs to be replaced through the growth cycle of companies. And typically it's just a growth and scale skill set that not all founders have. And unfortunately, I started to notice that every time this happened, it was a man who was given that CEO role. And it really hit home when it happened to be a women's healthcare platform for tracking your fertility. The founder was leaving, and sure enough, they put a man in the CEO role. And that's when I was like, what's going on here? Because this is not okay. And what I found, particularly at these small and mid-sized venture funds, is that the fund itself does not have a lot of extra money to hire recruiters or have anybody in-house for talent sourcing. So it's just the investors going into their networks to find the next CEO. And with most investors being men, their networks aren't gender balanced. And lo and behold, they find people that look like them, think like them, act like them. And so my solution was CEOX. And I really just want to ensure that women are being considered for these CEO roles
Yeah.
and really try and help women get their first CEO role, because most women that are CEOs have started their own company. It's rare that they are given that role at any point. And so CEOX, we are a database of CEO ready women. We are a community beyond that. So all of these women can come together and help one another rise up. We do a bunch of different leadership training for them as well, with the idea of supporting them once they are in those really intense, special roles as CEO. So that's kind of CEOX in a nutshell.
And what do you see? What are those stages that you're like, okay, now we need to get a CEO that's gone through your program or someone at the CEOX level? What are the signs that that's needed?
We've been placing people from very early stage companies when um, we partner with a few incubators. And so when they're creating these companies and want to put a team together, we're a great resource for them. But I see that CEO replacement typically come between like the series A and B type stage, sometimes B to C. And that's really where you've found that product market fit, and now you really need to focus in on that growth and scale. And so
Yeah.
that's where I see a lot of opportunity for getting these women who have been working at larger companies that are essentially what these smaller companies want to be when they grow up, and
Yeah.
translating their skills and coming in and leading these growing companies to success.
That's such a critical transition for founders to really be thinking and planning ahead and realizing your strengths and your weaknesses. Um, and that is a huge element going from, like you said, product market fit into then growth.
Yeah.
Totally different focus, skill set, ball game, so to speak.
Yeah. And you bring up something that I wanted to talk about, which is uh, for these founders, and if they're founding CEOs, to really become very self-aware of their skill set. Creating kind of a reflection practice as they're going through and growing their companies,
Yeah.
and learning what they're really good at and what they're not so great at,
Yeah.
and either improving those skills. But if there ever becomes a time where they do need to transition out, knowing what to look for then in the next person that they bring on.
And what are some of the things that when they're selecting a CEO or looking for that next person that has the superpowers they may
Yeah.
be lacking? What are some of those superpowers they should be on the lookout for?
Yeah. So, we as human beings tend to equate charm, charisma, and confidence with great leadership skills. And it's not true. So when I'm talking to people about selecting the next CEO, I really try and make them aware that the people that you might just naturally gravitate to are not necessarily the best leaders. So some of the data that comes up, it shows that adaptability is very key. A learning mindset is very key, and being decisive is key. And it doesn't even, and decisiveness doesn't necessarily mean making the right decision. It
Mhm.
means making a decision and knowing that you can always modify that down the road, but sitting in this kind of uncertain area, do we do this, do we do that, is not a good sign. So really assessing for those types of things is so much more important than, being attracted personality wise with a person and thinking, oh, I can go have a beer with this person and great person to hang out with and
Yeah.
charming, not what you want to look for in a next CEO. And ultimately the CEO wants, you want them to establish the vision and
Uh-huh.
bring on the people that can help you execute. Those are kind of the top two things, right?
Yeah.
And in these early stage companies, you also want somebody that beyond that is a doer, because you
Yes.
can't have somebody sitting in their big chair saying, do this, do that.
Yeah.
You are at an early stage, you need somebody who can execute as well.
So tell me a little bit about what milestones do you need the founder to have before connecting with you? So when is it the right moment for a founder to reach out to you at CEOX?
So we can help founders in three different ways. So one, when much later stage, if they're thinking of transitioning out and
Okay.
bringing on a different CEO, we're there to help. But the more like immediate is we can help find and partner with advisors. So
Mhm.
we have this, amazing stable of women who would love to help with these early stage startups. And we can help with that independent board seat, which I always personally encourage founders to form their board earlier rather than later
Yeah.
and get that independent person on much earlier. Don't let it just be your investors on your board. And
Yeah.
also don't let it be your favorite advisor on your board, because that favorite advisor, you're already learning from them. You really want to go outside of your network, bring
Mhm.
on somebody that thinks differently than you do, and start being mindful of diversity on your board from a very early stage. So we can help there too.
Any advice that you have? You've worked with so many founders, you've worked with so many CEOs, you've seen it from all sides. What advice would you give to the founders, just gal to gal?
I would say start setting the stage for the diversity, equity, inclusion at your company today. Even if it's just you and your best friend working out of your garage at this point, it's never too early to start doing things in your company that will set the stage for future success.
Yeah.
And that's important because diversity, equity, and inclusion, it's not just for diverse people. It doesn't help just diverse people. It helps your company as a whole be more
Mhm.
successful. And a lot of people think that it's something that large companies deal with, but you as a founder should be putting the architecture in place now. And it can be done affordably. It doesn't mean you're spending a lot of money on experts or anything. I mean, it means starting tracking your data,
Yeah.
right? That you can do on a spreadsheet. It's not going to cost you anything.
Yeah.
It means setting the tone from the top. make sure that you're recognizing different holidays, so that you're not just saying, recognizing Christmas. You need to set that tone early on. Make sure when you are doing team building, you're not just playing golf or going out for drinks, that all of those things only some people can be a part of. So it's just bringing awareness to all the things that you can be doing at an early stage. I actually do a presentation on this that I could spend hours talking on all the affordable ways you can start bringing diversity in at early stages. So think outside the box, and know as a CEO, founder, you're setting the stage early, and you can do that.
Your advice on that. Well, this has been wonderful. We're so excited to introduce you to the community of founders at She Transacts, and definitely they'll be able to contact you directly with any more questions, direct things that they may need from you when the moment's right. So we are so appreciative of you taking the time and sharing a little bit about the exciting things you guys are doing, and so thrilled to have another ally that's all about cooperation in the startup ecosystem. So thank you so much.
Right back at you. Thank you.